Well, welcome back to Mudwalkers. My name is Chris. So, as something of a woodsy person, I don't care much for technology. But the recommended stuff that Google and YouTube offer you, even though it can be creepy sometimes is right up your alley. So I don't like it, but the YouTube recommended feature brought me a really interesting video this week that we're going to look at today. The video that I saw was really well done in terms of its production value. But I disagree with a couple of its key claims. We are by no means going to watch the entire video. Please go watch the video yourself before watching my response here. The link is in the description down below. Like I said, really, really cool video, really well done. Just a couple of things to nitpick about the video, but overall, in terms of production value again, I really like the way this video was done. So go watch the original before you watch this. I'll be here when you get back. No rush. Now that you've watched it, let's dive in.
The creation of man, of Adam and of Eve, of the plants and of the animals in a garden east in Eden, and of the fruit from a tree that should have been abstained. It is a story told for millennia, and yet so much has been lost. The Word of God tells of that fateful day when mankind fell, the day when Adam and Eve ate of that forbidden fruit, and their eyes were opened. They saw each other's nakedness and were ashamed. But why? Why the shame? Why was this the revelation their eyes beheld when first opened? The answer, hidden for most, and yet in plain sight for those that diligently search, lays buried in the scriptures.
All right, we're gonna stop right there for now. I have two big issues with this. A big one and a less big one. First issue, he says Adam and Eve were ashamed. Genesis 3 doesn't say this, and no other text anywhere in the Bible says this, so we're left wondering where this claim comes from, because it didn't come from the Bible. The claim that Adam and Eve were ashamed of something in Genesis chapter 3 is a common one, but it remains unbiblical. I'm also, to put it kindly, intrigued by the phrase hidden from most. Given the overall tone of the video, this strikes me as kind of Gnostic, like there are these, hidden secrets that are, hidden in the Bible that most people are just not going to pick up on, but if you really, really know the Bible, then you'll be enlightened. And I'm really suspicious of this language. It doesn't necessarily carry any dark meanings, but like I said, given the overall thrust of the video, I'm suspicious of it.
This is that truth. In all the Holy Scriptures, only two men are written of as being direct sons of God. Likewise, only these two are ever written of as being created in the image of God. The first is Adam. The other is Jesus of Nazareth, the Lord's Christ, the last Adam. Whilst all those who believe on Jesus are adopted into his kinship, being made sons of God, only these two were ever born into it, neither having earthly fathers, and both being crowned in glory and honor.
As he rightly points out, many people are called children of God across the Bible. Kings of Israel were considered sons of God. Pagan unbelievers are referred to as God's offspring. When we believe Yahweh's truth, we ourselves are called sons of God. And as Christians, we're joint heirs with Yeshua, the list goes on and on. But every single one of these instances of a father-son relationship with Yahweh are all, to one extent or another, figurative. Hear me out. And I don't just mean us, I mean Adam and Yeshua as well. Neither Adam nor Yeshua were fathered by Yahweh in the usual sense. There was no copulation that led to Yeshua's conception. So Yahweh is not Yeshua's father in a strict literal sense. And Adam didn't even have a mother. There was no womb, there was no copulation. Yahweh shaped Adam out of dirt like an arts and crafts project. So yeah, he's responsible for Adam's, existence, but that doesn't make him literally his father. So even though this video says Adam was born into Yahweh's family, there was no birth, there was no womb. Adam was never born. So in short, Yeshua being Yahweh's son is figurative to one extent or another. Adam's sonship with Yahweh, the fact that Adam is Yahweh's son, is also to an extent largely figurative. Our relationship with Yahweh is also figurative. All three of these categories are figurative sonship. There is no actual birth going on here. Except in Yeshua's case, in which case there was no standard method, shall we say, of fatherhood. Now, I will be very clear in saying that our status as Yahweh's sons is not as intimate or significant as Yeshua's status as Yahweh's son. He shares a special relationship with Yahweh since he is actually Yahweh. He is actually the creator of heaven and earth. That's Yeshua. Yeshua is the creator of heaven and earth, according to Colossians. So that's very different from our relationship with Yahweh. We don't actually share personally in the divine nature the way that Yeshua does. Adam did not either. So it is different, but it's still, to an extent, figurative. Also, he says that only Adam and Yeshua are said to be made in Yahweh's image, which is a really strange claim. Because right there in Genesis chapter 1, it says that God made them in his own image, male and female, he created them. So Hava was created in Yahweh's image too. But beyond this, Genesis chapter 9 also says that human beings in general are made in Yahweh's image, which is why murder is forbidden, is because we are all made in Yahweh's image. So if you murder a human being, you have murdered the bearer of Yahweh's image, so you deserve to die. That's right there in Genesis chapter 9. We are all made in Yahweh's image. If you are human, you are made in Yahweh's image. So I don't understand where this guy is coming from with only Adam and Yeshua being made in Yahweh's image. It seems like a quick word search in basically any digital Bible could have cleared this up in a few seconds. So it's unclear why he said that. But the other claim is also really interesting, the idea that Adam and Yeshua are both said to be crowned in glory and honor. The only reference I can find to someone other than Yeshua being crowned with glory and honor is Psalm chapter 8, where it says the Son of Man is crowned with glory and honor. But interesting, the Son of Man here is not Adam himself. It can't be Adam because it says it's the Son of Man. Ben Adam, it's the son of Adam. But Adam means mankind, the sons of mankind. The sons of Adam, the son of Adam, the sons of man, the sons of men, are Hebrew expressions for referring to the entire human race. And when you read Psalm 8 in its entirety, it becomes immediately clear that it is about human beings in general, not about Adam or about Yeshua. It's about all of us. So by virtue of being human, we are crowned with glory and honor, made a little lower than the angels, given dominion over the earth and the animals, etc., etc. That seems to be what Psalm 8 is getting at.
Crowned in glory. What meaneth this? When was Jesus ever crowned in glory? Oh, dear listener, dost thou forget? On the Mount of Transfiguration, witnessed by the apostles Peter, James, and John, doth the Scripture not say that Jesus was transfigured into his glory, with a countenance as the sun, and shining with a raiment of white light?
Hebrews says Yeshua was crowned with glory and honor as a result of his death for sins, which would necessarily happen after his crucifixion. So it's unclear to me whether we should really be referring to the transfiguration as him being crowned with glory and honor when Hebrews refers to this as being something that happens at the right hand of the Father. where Yeshua currently is. Now he is crowned with glory and honor. Not on, it doesn't say that it happened on the mount. It doesn't mean it didn't happen on the mount, but like, without a reference for that, it's unclear to me why we should refer to it as him being crowned with glory and honor on the Mount of Transfiguration. And all the major translations, the reputable ones that I know of that I could find today, these ones, say that Yeshua's clothing became white as light, or bright as light, or white as the light. In other words, they became bright like light. It doesn't say that they became light. Just a quick point there. Moving on.
Does the book of Psalms not also confer this? That the light of the heavens themselves wrap him as a garment?
Yes, Yahweh is said to be wrapped in light. He's also said to be wrapped in flames, or flowing linen robes, or a long robe whose train fills the temple. These are metaphors. I don't see why we should take these to be literal, especially since they're so varied. These all express something different about Yahweh. When he's clothed in flames, you read the context, Yahweh's very angry. When you read about him being wearing a robe that fills the temple, that's in the context of King Uzziah's death in Yeshaya chapter 6. Uzziah brought great prosperity and peace to Israel. So when he died, Israel was left kind of reeling in the wake of his death. You know, what are we going to do? Where are we going to find our stability? How are we going to maintain our wealth? And Yahweh comes in wearing a robe that no one could possibly be powerful or rich enough in human terms to ever wear. But here he is wearing it in the temple, and the train actually fills the entire temple, something that would be too much wealth and too much weight for any human being to carry. Yahweh's message, I am king. I am a far greater king than Uzziah ever was, than any king could possibly ever be in human terms. I am the greatest king imaginable, so don't worry, I will take care of you, is the message of the train of his robe, filling the temple. So these all give us ideas about Yahweh. They are pictures. We shouldn't think that Yahweh is out there among the stars somewhere with this giant half-acre robe flowing behind him in the solar wind. He probably doesn't need clothes. So I don't see why we should take these to be literal. All right, before we get too much further, let's talk about Patreon. This episode of Mudwalkers is brought to you by Patreon. These guys are my patrons. They're making the channel happen. They're keeping my work sustainable. Fellas and ladies, thank you so much for what you're doing on Patreon. This would not be happening without you. I probably would have given up and stopped posting videos a long time ago if it was not for your support. If you'd like to support what I do financially, there are 3 major levels at which you can do that. There's a supporter tier, which is at the bottom. That's our cheapest option, very affordable. That gets early access to all my mainline content, videos like this one. But at the next level up, the Mudwalker level, you also get access to a monthly video call with me and the other patrons. Great time to hang out and share stories and swap ideas, that kind of stuff, hang out. But the Mudwalker tier and above also gets access to all my Patreon exclusive content, things like cooking videos, travel vlogs, behind the scenes content, personal updates, that kind of stuff. But then above that, you get access to mostly the same stuff, but you just, support what I do at a higher level. If you give at the sacrificial giver tier or higher, you also get access to a monthly thank you video from yours truly. About a minute long, just to let you know specifically that I really appreciate what you are doing for Mudwalkers when you give at that level, because it really does drive the channel forward and it makes so many great things possible. Without my Patreon supporters, I would not have been able to do some of the cool things I got to do this year, including I went to the Christian Naturist Festival, I went to several World Naked Bike rides. Just had a fantastic year, all thanks to you guys on Patreon. Again, if you'd like to support what I do, check out the link tree in the description down below, or the Patreon link in the description down below, or the link which is probably here as we speak, if not momentarily. Patreon.com/Mudwalkers. Okay, we were talking about Jesus being clothed with light, and glory, and honor, and all those things. Let's hop back in.
Even now, as written by the Apostle John in the book of Revelation, Jesus shines bright as the sun. His eyes are flames of fire. Glory of a truth is oft likened to light in the scriptures.
Okay, yeah, no argument there, but it's the next sentence, the next word. that I start to have a problem with. And I think you'll probably notice it if you watch out for it. Listen to this next sentence real quick.
Surely Christ's counterpart, the first Adam, made in his image, shone just as bright when he was first created.
Surely is not a Bible verse. Surely is not an argument. Surely is not evidence. Surely is just speculation. And speculation can be rejected, or at least questioned, out of hand.
But when they ate of that fateful fruit, on the day sin was brought forth into the world, that light faded, leaving them naked and ashamed.
All right, I have two problems here as well. The first is, again, the issue of Adam and Eve, Adam and Hava, being ashamed of something in Genesis chapter 3. The Bible doesn't say that, so it's unclear where it's coming from. The second issue is the issue of light. This one's going to be a part 1 and part 2, second point. So number 1, again, support is not an argument and it's not evidence. So we can reject that out of hand. It's just an assertion without support. But secondly, on the issue of light, we get down to my usual interpretive method when it comes to the Bible. My usual method when it comes to interpreting the Bible is looking at the grammar, the textual context around what we're looking at, the historical cultural context around it, and then trying to come away with the most basic, down-to-earth, straightforward, common-sense interpretation that I can possibly get down to that seems like it would have been what the original readers would have walked away with given their culture. Because the Bible was not written for old men in ivory towers. It was written to be understood by illiterate slaves. That's why the Tanakh is written in the everyday common language of ancient Israel, so everyone could understand it, from the kings and prophets and judges all the way down to the lowest of the slaves. Everyone could understand Hebrew, so it was written in Hebrew. That's also why the New Testament is written in Koine Greek, because everyone in the Roman Empire could understand that. Remember, Latin was a language that was in use at the time, but it was considered the language of the aristocracy, of the intellectuals, of the emperors, of the Senate, these kinds of things. It was kind of an uppity language. And a lot of the people in the empire didn't speak Latin. Even if you could speak it, it was something that was really reserved for, like, respectable Roman citizens. Whereas Greek, on the other hand, was what was used by freedmen and slaves alike. It was used by merchants, it was used by workers, and it was, you guessed it, the language also of slaves. So the Bible is written to be understood in very simple terms. Another important component of my biblical interpretive method is the idea that if something is important for us to understand the situation rightly that's being discussed in the text, then whatever that situation needs and is important to the situation will be included in the text. If a piece of data is important for us to properly understand the situation, then that data will be presented in the text. That's another important part of my method. Okay, I say my method. Obviously, I learned this from, smart people, good Christian people over the years, and this is kind of what I've conglomerated together. I didn't come up with any of this. This is all something that I learned from other people. The way I usually say it, in simple terms, is if it's important, it's going to be written in the text. So, if Adam and Hava were glowing like lamps, and it was important, then that data would be in the text. It's not, so it's not. I think this whole thing really comes down to 2 points. 1, this video claims that Adam and Hava, were ashamed after they ate the fruit, which the Bible never says. So I'm not sure where to go with that one, except to say that it's unbiblical. 2, he says that Adam and Hava were clothed with literal light, which again, the Bible does not say. Okay, so the Bible doesn't specifically say they were ashamed. So the fact that it's not mentioned, does that mean it definitely wasn't true? No. That would be the negative inference fallacy. You can't argue negative from just silence or negative from positive. Those are fallacies. You can't do that. What I'm saying is, we can't make a definitive claim about something that isn't mentioned in the text. Were they ashamed? Yeah, probably. I think they were probably ashamed of what they had done. But we can't be definitive or dogmatic about that when the text does not say it. So, were they ashamed? Possibly, probably. Yeah, maybe. Maybe so, maybe not. But the text doesn't say it, so let's not be dogmatic about it. The Bible never specifically says that they were clothed with light. Does this mean that it was not true, and they were not clothed by light? Is that necessary from the text then? No, again, that would be basically arguing from silence. You can't say that just because it's not mentioned that it wasn't true. The Bible doesn't say that Jesus ever ate, I don't know, pick a food. That he never ate. The Bible doesn't ever say that Jesus ate beef. Does that mean he never tasted beef? No. It's possible he did. We don't know. Maybe he had a problem with beef. Maybe he didn't. Maybe there was a shortage of cows. I don't know. But did he eat beef? Did he not? The Bible doesn't say, so let's not be dogmatic about that question. So the Bible doesn't say that Adam and Hava were glowing. Does that mean they weren't glowing? No, maybe they were glowing. I mean, it's possible. I lean against that interpretation, personally, for a host of reasons. But here's one of the main ones why I think they probably weren't. Besides the fact that if they were glowing, it sounds important, and it's not mentioned, so it's not important. But if they were glowing, it sounds like it would be important, so it would be in the text if it was true, I think. But here's another main reason why I don't think they were glowing. Imagine if you had a little flashlight, right? And I actually have a flashlight. Imagine if you had a little flashlight, and it's supposed to glow on the glowy end, right? But then it stops glowing. So how do you hide that? By covering up part of the glowy part? Or by shining it where the sun is already shining? Just like go find the sunlight and shine it where the sun's shining. It becomes more difficult to discern what is and isn't glowing in the presence of a brighter glow. So it seems to me that if Adam and Hava were glowing at one point and then they stopped glowing and they were ashamed of not glowing anymore, the knee-jerk reaction would be, let's go find some light, not cover ourselves up and make ourselves look even darker. That sounds to me like being ashamed of being shirtless in the mall. You're in the mall and you find yourself suddenly shirtless and everyone's looking at you and you go, oh no, I'm half naked. No, you're not going to make your problem worse immediately. So it just seems to me unlikely. Besides which, it doesn't say that they realized they were not glowing. It says they realized they were naked and then they covered themselves with leaves. They didn't look for some glowing object. Anyway, so I don't think they were glowing. I think that's very, very improbable. Maybe it's true, but probably not. So covering themselves up because they're ashamed of not glowing sounds like the opposite reaction of what I would expect, which would be for them to go out into the light. But again, I am now speculating, which means you should feel perfectly free to question what I just said, or even just to reject it out of hand because you don't like it. Because there is nothing I just said that positively supports my view. All I'm saying is I find that these explanations make it sound very unlikely that they were glowing. But if you want to say that they were glowing, go on and speculate. I'm not going to stop you from speculating. Just please don't be dogmatic about it. The Bible doesn't say they were glowing, so let's not dogmatically say that they were definitely glowing. That's all. There's no good way of knowing if they were glowing or not at this point, because they're dead, and no one alive today was there, and Yahweh hasn't told us whether or not they were glowing in the Bible. So the only way we're going to find out is if we get to the new earth and ask them ourselves, or better yet, get to the new earth and just ask Yahweh. I think he'll probably tell us. Of course, at that point, if Adam and Hava were glowing in the garden and we're on the new earth, we will probably be glowing or not glowing, depending on what was already true in the garden, if we're on the new earth already. So just being on the new earth would probably already answer the question. Right? That's just me. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about the original video? What do you think about my response? Do you think I'm crazy for saying they weren't glowing? Do you think this other guy's crazy for saying that they were glowing? I'm not the be-all and end-all here. I've actually learned a lot from my comment section. I love you guys. A couple of you guys in particular are really good at really insightful, informative comments. So please have at it. Tell me what you think. Tell me all about it. I would love to hear your perspective on this. Also, please make sure you go watch the original video. Like I said, it is beautiful. So well done. You saw a little bit of it in my video because we just, put it on screen and everything. But the artwork, the art style, the lettering that they used, as someone who dabbles in conlanging, I find the use of these other alphabets fascinating. And like, again, the art style is so clever. And when the enemy is placed under Yeshua's throne at the end of the video, which I didn't show here, but you should check it out, the way that that is depicted is brilliant. It's artistic. It's so artistic. I love the art in that video. I used to get into drawing. I haven't drawn in a long time. I've been too busy with the channel, but there's a special place in my heart for visual art, drawing, paint, those kinds of things. And the video is just visually stunning. I love what he did. I love the voice. I don't know if it's AI or not, but wherever that voice came from, out of a human being or out of a voice box on a computer, I don't care. The voice is epic. The phrasing is poetic. Just overall, the video is super well executed. It's just a couple things that I would nitpick. But overall, the video is very well executed. I wish I had the resources to make visual videos like that. With me, you just get my mouth flapping on here, or you get a bunch of boring stock footage in the background. But this guy has like real art, and it's like animated and everything. Just like, again, I'm rambling, but really, really well done. You should go check the video out for yourself. It's really, really well done, visually speaking. That's it for this video. I will see you in the next one.